Hey, welcome to Content. This week I'm chatting to Aberdeen's finest, Cold Years. Cold Years travelled down at the end of 2019 to make their debut album. We previously worked together when I mixed their last EP, which led to us working together on the production of a couple of singles which have actually made it to this album, Breathe and 62. It is a cracking classic rock record infused with some 80s stylistic elements and some punk rock attitude. The album is called Paradise. It's coming out on E1 on the 4th of September 2020. It was a real privilege for me to do this record. I had such an amazing time, and hopefully that comes across in this pod and in the tracks. And here's a little clip of one of them now. This song's called Electricity.
Sometimes I get feeling I can't contain it and I don't want to fight it. Was always afraid of being someone I hated and I want to get up right now. You give me your hand and I watch the crowds dissipate. I can't even sleep or dream or eat or breathe or when you come near.
The format is a bit of a Q&A, get to know each other a little bit better, maybe about some intimate personal stuff, maybe about some weirder stuff.
Okay. So I've got one that I'm actually dying to hear from you because I've been listening to your podcast in the van at work, and the most common question that is asked is, do you believe in ghosts or have you ever seen any ghosts?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I listened to it and I dawned on it for ages because I've had quite few experiences. But it got me thinking, and then I really want to ask you, because you seem like quite a spiritual person. So do you believe in the concept of heaven and hell? And if so, what is your perception of the concept of heaven and hell?
Probably short answer, no.
Fair enough.
No, I don't believe in heaven. No, I don't believe in hell.
Open to the concept of it, though.
Do you know what hell is? Waiting for Fraser to turn up to fucking band practice is what hell is.
That was such a big wind up to the question, and I've just basically said no. What I think is there's that. What's that drug that is released into your brain when you die?
DMT.
DMT.
I reckon that is probably what causes this kind of
perception of it.
Yeah. So it's 2020. It's pretty much in the bin. But everyone's been writing music, I'm sure. So what trend are you hoping that 2021 brings back?
Zill bells. Did you not remember in 2006, every hardcore metalcore band before a breakdown did you get the ting? And it was on that really high pitched bell.
The worst symbol ever invented. Yes.
Bring back Zill bells in mad beatdowns.
Is that worthy of a trend though?
Yes, absolutely.
What are you saying, Russ? What trend do you want to see come back?
My point on this is I hope that it forces people to not obey trends. I'm hoping that this time that you have to yourself basically means that you go, I don't give a fuck what anybody else is doing. I'm going to do my own thing, which I think is much more important than following any trend. That's my opinion.
So what you're saying is punk?
No, not necessarily. It could mean punk. It could mean a lot of things.
I think it's gonna be kind of early 2000s, trash the house American house party pop punk. Just because everybody's just gonna be so fucking buzzed to be able to hang out with their mates that they're just gonna put on the first New Found Glory album, and then it's just gonna kind of make sense.
I was going to ask you, Neil, see what your thoughts were.
I thought a couple of years ago new metal was going to come back in a big way.
Right.
And what we ended up with was that kind of Bring Me the Horizon pop metal.
Yeah. What would you call that then? I get what is there a name for it? It's modern.
It's kind of, clearly it comes from metal, but it's much more savvy in terms of.
I fucking love it. I love what they've been doing. I'll always have respect for a band that go from what they were for when they first became to what they've gone through all the fucking bullshit. They're now doing what they. I would hope what they, as a group of musicians, want to do, and they've made a great success out of it, and it's fucking great music at the same time.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think probably in recent times as well, kind of access to the kind of equipment and sort of quite widespread sort of way to kind of add that into your production kind of live, you know, the kind of electronic element and everything. And it's getting better and better all the time. So I think it was probably only a matter of time before, you know, that kind of made its way into the kind of records being made.
And it is almost like sort of like a new genre, what some of these bands are kind of coming up with now, taking a very
EDM metal.
What I really like doing, especially like when we come to like record review and stuff, is discovering new guitars. You know which guitar I'm going to bring up. It's still, dude, the best guitar I've ever played in my fucking life. But it's so cool to find like these instruments in like corners of studios, and you pick up, and then like you'll tell us a little story about how you got it, and all these kind of little, this like story, this whole lifetime behind these guitars, and they turn out to be like better than what you thought was like, this is the guitar that I should always play, blah blah blah.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. That's a nice little story.
I meant to ask you this last time we were with you, but where do you see in maybe 10 years' time, with how technology is now, with the accessibility that people have to, like, kids can literally have a laptop these days and make a record that sounds near enough radio ready. Where do you see, for yourself as an engineer who runs a studio, where do you see it in 10 years' time? Do you think it's going to affect engineers in studios, or do you think that it will relatively stay the same?
I think the biggest effect has probably already been a lot of the very expensive studios kind of like went the way of the Dodo and stuff a few years back, Olympic and places like that. I think because we charge affordable rates and we have a USP at the studio, which is, I mean, there's a couple, but the engineer and the space and the gear, you know, we've got all of that kind of stuff. So there's always going to be a call for it. You know, I'm not saying my studio and my career is going to last forever. I'd be extremely optimistic, but I think that for now, like there's lots of bands and musicians want to record in spaces that are designed for it, with equipment that, like you say, they don't have access to on their laptop. As
a side note to that, you also, like, we came to the ranch because we wanted to make a record with you as a person as well. I think that's something you'll never be able to take away from bands that try and make records themselves. Like, at the end of the day, there is a sound that comes with a producer, as well as, you know, a feel to a record, as well as the songs themselves can change.
I also think there's a whole thing, like, there's the kind of act of, you know, going to the ranch and recording a record. Like, you know, if you record a record in your living room, I think it's like the whole experience, because it's so immersive.
Yeah.
You know, like, we were basically out in the ranch for 2 weeks, just entirely focused upon that, you know, very little distraction. Like, you're there and then that's what you're doing. And
you focus.
Yeah. It's like a whole experience, as opposed to kind of, you know, hanging out in the flat and just kind of doing most of the shit you normally would, and then also recording a record, you know. Demoing
at our local studio or writing in our flats, you become uninspired to a certain extent, because you're just around the familiar surroundings and stuff. Whereas, you know, you, like you said, Finn, you travel, you go away, it's like, this 2 weeks, I don't have to go to work, I don't have to do anything. This is what we're doing for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And your brain almost clicks and turns in a different way. And you produce much better quality of music than you would if you're in a relaxed environment. Like, oh, I'll do a bit of that later, or the guys will come around later and do a bit of, you know. I think it helps with consistency and cohesion and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I've said it before on other podcasts and, you know, in general conversation, I don't think the studio is for everybody. I don't think engineers are for everybody, producers are for everybody. I think there are artists that have the ability to do it all themselves, and that is amazing. And, you know, viva that kind of change. And as long as my studio still goes and I can take a bit of bunts home to pay the rent or whatnot, then I'm kind of happy. Yeah.
Getting to work with, you know, with the bands that want to work with me and bands I find and like and all that kind of stuff. So how lucky are you?
As individuals or as a band?
Band, individuals.
As a band, I think we're quite lucky to be given the opportunities that we've been given. We've worked very hard for it, but I do also think, like, there is also an element of luck involved. Personally, like, in terms of living, like, winning the lottery or whatever, I'm terribly unlucky. I don't think I've ever won a single thing in my life. But then also, like, I mean, I've got a good life, and, you know, I've got, you know, good friends. I've got a lovely girlfriend. I've got an amazing family. So in that respect, I'm lucky.
I won a competitions for Domino's once, and it was like, it's the first time I've ever won anything. A free pizza from Domino's.
One free pizza.
Yeah, but
Dude, you won soup for a year.
I won soup for a year as well. Fuck.
You did.
I remember living with Louis, and when he won that competition, towards the end of the week when pay wasn't making that spot, Louis would just be like eating soup every day, all day.
It came at such a good time. I really needed that soup.
What about you, Ross?
As a band, I think we're incredibly lucky. I think we work, like Finlay had said before, we kind of worked really hard for it. I think there's a lot to be said in working hard in a band and really cutting your teeth and working from the bottom up, which I felt like we did. And I still think we are. And there's a long struggle ahead there, struggle being the keyword. But it's a fucking privilege to do it. And as a person, my life sucked up until about January. So I had a really bad set of luck. If I didn't have that bad luck, I couldn't have written songs. There's a lot to say about your personal circumstances and how they shape you as a human being and what that means going forward. And I think like all of us collectively have been through our own trouble and struggle, and some of us still are. And I think like, you know, it shapes us all as human beings and pulls us all together as friends. And I think that's really important, you know.
Side note, since it is Men's Mental Health Week, I think that it's important to say if you're not okay and that everybody's there for you.
It's quite interesting to think about your luck, isn't it? Especially around with what's going on at the moment with the BLM movement, and you start thinking about your privilege and all that kind of stuff.
There's kids in America you can't even walk in the streets in absolute fear that they might get shot just for being the person that they are. I mean, that is, and any kid that's brought into that environment at an age where you don't make the decisions in your life, that is, to me, is bad luck. That is, no one deserves that.
Thing is, this the idea that that's rotten luck is fucked, because it's a conscious decision by certain people or systematically. So we need to reverse that. Obviously, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. I'm certainly not the most educated person on this.
Yeah, I think it's important to take this time to fully educate yourself and, you know, not take what you've got for granted.
I think there's been a lot of that recently. I do think that's been a real positive. I think 2020 in general has been objectively terrible, but I think what's like potentially going to come out the other side of it, I think everybody's become a lot more educated about the Black Lives Matter movement, and also just about everything else due to lockdown. I think just as a whole, perhaps the social change that comes as a result of it, it's going to be maybe the year that we needed in some kind of way.
Could well be, yeah, absolutely. The big reset.
Yeah, like the world has just been like totally redlining for so long.
Social media plays an important part in getting what's like going on in the world out to people right now. You know, there's been people that use social media for what I personally think could be the wrong things, but you know, I think I think it's important for people to, you know, educate others and hold your friends accountable and stuff. We all equally play a part in, you know, educating and moving forward within the human race. As a band that's got an album coming out and stuff, you want to be able to promote that and stuff, but at the same time you're like, well, is that more important than what's going on in other people's lives where there's this absolutely monstrosity, that's the word I was looking for.
As a band, you've postponed your album, right? As have Creeper and a number of other sort of UK rock bands. Was that a tough decision, or did you just go, fuck that, you know?
I think, to be honest, as a group of people who have a pretty strong moral compass when it comes to these sort of things, like when you look at what's going on in the world right now, there are a lot more important things going on than our music. To me, like what's been going on over the last few weeks, and I think, well, it's been going on for decades, but I think obviously what's really been highlighted over the last sort of few weeks is that the entire world's kind of pulling together to fight this. And I think that's a much more important thing than a band that's got some songs that they want to release. Like, as much as I love our music, as much as I'm dying to get a record out, I think there are more important things right now, and it really needs everyone to actively play a part to change that. And I think the only way we can do that is by shutting out all the other noise and just focusing on that. And I think that's really important.
As a producer, what do you think, what are the main broad points that you think for somebody who's looking to start doing it, or is doing it already? What do you think is like the main broad points for them to kind of be mindful of whilst kind of recording at home.
Oh, that's really interesting. I think it depends on what you're aiming to do. If you're talking about producing something at home that you can put out, Spotify, etc., it's quite a different answer to if you've never recorded before and you want to start. I give a couple from column A and a couple from column B. So first thing would be kind of paying attention to your input levels, which sounds super basic, but a number of times I've had like DIs from home and it's either too low a level or too high a level, and both of them have their own problems. Obviously, too high level, you're going to clip. Too lower level, you're too close to the noise source. When you do turn it up, all the noise that lives low down in your signal comes up with it. So that would be my first tip. My second one would be, so if you're recording vocals, you got to find a good space to do it in, essentially, or make a good space. Quick tip: prop up a mattress against the wall. Stand with your back to the mattress. I think that's the right way, isn't it? Yeah, stand with your back to the mattress, sing into the mic, so the mic's pointing towards the mattress. That's a good one. If you've got two mattresses, make a little kind of like mattress triangle. That's even better. Make a pillow fort. You've got a good excuse now to do that as an adult. You can put all your duvets together, hang a duvet off the back of a cupboard door, all that kind of stuff. It's all really good at just getting reflections out and getting them away from your microphone. Louis, help me out here. What else can I suggest?
If we're going from column A, which was the bedroom producer side of things, read.
Oh yeah, like just research.
Just fucking research. Listen, go on Sound and look at what other people are doing with the same same position as you. The one thing I was so ignorant of for fucking years was that I made a few okay sounding demos and I thought I was the nuts.
Oh, I did the same.
And then I just didn't bother learning. And then I get then put into an actual situation with when I was recording other bands, not just my own band or myself. The outcome wouldn't be half as good as what I get myself because I had ways of doing things myself.
The wealth of resources out there now is absolutely astonishing.
For free as well.
So last two, maybe let's go for someone trying to get something a bit more high fidelity. Okay, really simple mix trick. Start your mix by putting, once you got your balance together, whack a Pultec emulation on your master output. Set to 12 or 16 kilohertz at the top, broadband, 30 or 60 hertz at the bottom. Attenuate and boost the bottom a little bit, boost the top quite a lot. And you've got that Pultec kind of like bump at the bottom and sort of like lift at the top. It immediately makes things sound, to me, a bit posher and a bit sweeter and a bit nicer. And then you kind of mix into it a little bit. Everything's already got that little bit of top and that little bit of bottom. And I feel like I've got one more to give you, but I'm out. Oh yeah, tuning your fucking guitars properly. That's it. Check your intonation. Learn how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, tune your fucking guitars. If you're playing an octave on the A string and the G string, you better fucking make sure that guitar's intonated properly, or I'll come to your house
and do it for us, or
set your guitar up. Oh yeah,
it's the worst. I've never understood it. Probably fucking guilty of it.
I was literally backtracking as you said that entire statement, and I was like, what actually happened when we were there?
The fear's setting in now.
So which mystery do you wish you knew the answer to?
Kurt Cobain's death.
Ooh. Do you think there is a mystery to it then?
No, but I just want the absolute truth. That's all. I hate not knowing if something is absolutely 100% confirmed.
There's that seed of doubt, isn't there?
It's that seed of doubt. Yeah.
Ross, mystery. What you got?
Let me think. Did we really land on the moon?
Yes.
I wanted that one.
I've got a theory.
Go on then. What's your theory?
Well, at the time, the US was obviously in the space race with Russia. Now, I feel that the United States could not live broadcast a catastrophe if it went wrong. So what I think happened was that rocket went up and it was a success, but there was also a pre-recorded rocket launch that they played on national television, that if it went wrong in real life, it doesn't matter because it was still a success. And the United States of America still were victorious in this whole space race against the Russians. So I think why take the risk when they can? But there's so many things they pick up on with the flag waving and stuff. And
right, Finn, you got to think on your toes, mate.
What is it? It's on Netflix at the moment. It's something like Ancient Aliens or something. So I was watching it, and there was this episode about, I think it's like south of, or like on the southernmost island chain of Japan, just off there. There's this entire remnants of a kind of ancient civilization, and it's like 1,000 feet behind, like below the waves. And also, having gone down and inspected it, everybody that's gone and seen it basically says at the time where it's feasible that it could have been built by humans, they didn't have the technology to do it. So they're basically like, what the hell? So I would like to know, A, if they managed it, and B, if they didn't, who did?
Are they not recently discovered some new planetary systems recently that would host life and hold the moisture and the
temperatures? I think it's 30 in our galaxy, I believe.
36.
They've identified. Is it 36?
36
There's
of these.
all sorts of maths that says there's these planets in the Goldilocks zone, so it's not too hot, not too cold.
They kind of fit the criteria that could produce life, but it's that thing of that. It's endless, for fuck's sake. Surely there's got to be something.
You bloody hope so.
Yeah, it's like Rick and Morty, isn't it? There's like infinite realities and all that shit. Like, surely, come on.
Yeah. Well, they are coming up. They've like confirming theories now that like what is it? Oh, my brain's going to stop working now as soon as I try and say something smart. Here we go. Parallel universes. They're figuring out ways that parallel universes can be a thing. You know?
Yeah, that's one of my favourite kind of topics in any kind of film or book when they start talking about parallel universes and that kind of stuff. I love that stuff.
Funny conversation here. It's not quite a parallel universe thing, but you see what I can't get a grasp of, and this is not a conspiracy theory, but you know that movie Interstellar, Matthew McConaughey, which is one of my favourite films of all time, right? I still can't fucking grasp the fact that he spends 5 minutes on a planet and the rest of the world ages by like 200 years. I can't grasp that theory.
Space-time continuum, mate.
I don't think it is. It's
What was your favourite record to produce ever? I like that.
I don't have a favourite one. I've been asked similar kind of questions and kind of said things like Bare Dreams and Donny Brasco. I'd definitely put your record up there as one that was seriously good fun to do. One I've really enjoyed recently was Chapter and Verses EP. I really enjoyed making that.
Yeah.
They're lovely and
that's fucking cool.
Really to work with, and the songs are wicked and it's kind of inventive and stuff.
Check them out immediately after listening to the podcast. I was very impressed.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really good. Really talented singer, all that kind of jazz. Yeah, great.
Wicked, man.
I was talking about, you had said that you would place our album up there with one of the favourite ones that you've worked on. If there was anything that you'd do differently in your approach to recording a record, what would it be and why?
I listened to the mix recently, and there's very little. There's a bit of me thinks maybe the main vocal is too loud. Maybe the kick drum could be a bit louder. But I think it sounds cool. It's got tons of vibe, and it sounds like 80s enough. I think that we wanted to get a bit of an 80s kind of thing in there, plus contemporary kind of rock music, plus make it poppy. But
I think what we set out to do, all of us together, we definitely came away with better, in my opinion.
I think it sounds cool. I don't think I'd change much. No, I honestly can't think of anything I'd do.
It was a fucking laugh. I can't wait to do the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was a hell of a lot of fun.
We've got to get it written fast.
If you had to pick one takeaway to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be? Because the only thing you can eat is takeaway.
Oh, sounds amazing. I'd probably go pizza.
Yep.
Variety, that's the thing. You can change it up so much. But no, with pizza, you can have, if you don't want to eat fucking meat and shit, you can have nice vegetables. You can go fish if you want to as well. There's calzone. You can flip it upside down, bend it into different shapes.
I just kind of feel like I need to just throw this in here. The ultimate pizza, we figured it out. We got popcorn chicken. you know, like you get KFC and you get like a pepperoni, a large pepperoni, like an American hot pepperoni pizza, and you put the popcorn chicken in between, then you fold it like a calzone, and then you put it in a George Foreman for 5 minutes. As like,
So I've got a question. What is the best pizza topping?
Whatever Finlay just said.
yeah, I just told you.
Nah, pepperoni.
Double pepperoni from Domino's, but with the barbecue base, and maybe even with the double decadence, double crust.
Extra cheese is always the thing. Cover all your toppings and more cheese.
A severely underrated shout, but margarita.
Yeah, that's a great answer. My favourite pizza that you can just go and buy is Pizza Express Veneziana, which is pineapples, sultanas, capers and onions.
Oh my god,
Oh man, that's questionable.
I see your Pizza Express, but I raise you the Asda make your own counter.
And 50p goes to the Venice Sinking Fund or whatever. So, you know, I went to Venice last autumn, and it was fucking amazing. But basically, as soon as we got back, it flooded like fuck. So I'm going to ask my last question. I'd normally do the ghost one, but I feel like it's been ruined by Fraser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he ruins everything.
All right, let's do a fun one. Each of you give me one song to work out to, one song to have sex to, and one for your funeral.
Okay, so for my funeral, Three Little Birds, Bob Marley.
Oh, yeah.
To work out to, Pleased to Meet You by Trapped Under Ice. Shag to, Drunk in Love by, I think it's Beyonce.
Oh, okay.
The one that was in 50 Shades of Grey.
Haven't seen it, mate.
It's got a groove to it.
Okay, great. Right, come on, Fraser.
To work out to Have Heart, Watch Me Rise. To have sex to take anything, just the album Take Care by Drake.
Oh, dude, good shout. Good shout.
What was the third one, sorry?
Funeral.
Happiness by the Kilowatt, acoustic version by Alexis on Fire. Or Andrew Bocelli, Goodbye.
Ross, give me three.
Workout, I would by Lower Atlantis because it's a really, really good pop, and it's, you know, it's really class. Funeral song, Blue in the Face by Alkaline Trio, because that was that last line to it. It's like, you're coughing in mine. And it's been my funeral song because, you know, I thought about it a long time. It's probably been my funeral song most of my life. And to fuck to, or / make love to, I'd probably say like Kavinsky's Night Call, because it's, okay. It's a whole thing. It's a mood.
There's also got the lyric, there's something inside you.
Yeah. And
it's hard to explain.
Yeah, it's hard to, there's something about you, boy, but you're just the same. You know, yeah. I mean, I think lyrically it really speaks to me. You know, nah, I'm just saying it because I like the bass line. The bass line's class. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. And it's kind of at that speed that you can kind of keep up with it too, which is good.
Yeah, you don't tucker yourself out.
Finley, take us home, mate.
To work out to Animal by Pearl Jam.
Oh.
At my funeral, I'm gonna say
probably some like heavy German techno.
One of my friends went to his uncle's funeral and they played Scooter.
Yes.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that go down?
I think actually pretty well. Finn, come on, mate.
So yeah, at my funeral, probably Disappearing by The War on Drugs. Probably because it is, because it's the best song just like ever written ever, probably.
I think that's the only thing that would possibly make me cry at your funeral, Finley.
Yeah, the song, not the occasion.
I love you too.
And song to fuck to Shark Smile by Big Thief. I don't know if any of you guys have heard it. I think they're from like Brooklyn or something. It's kind of quite, I don't know. You guys listen to it afterwards. I'm not even going to try and describe it, but it's a good one.
I'm never going to listen to those songs again in the same way, I'll tell you that. Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining me on this, gang. It's been really nice to catch up and see you all doing
so well. It's been too long.
Yeah, man, it's been class.
It's been so good to catch up though, man. Thank you so much for...
that's been really fun.
Thanks for having us on.
Cool. All right, lots of love, boys. I'll leave you to it.
Lots of
Take
love.
care.
Yeah.
See you later.
Soon.
God
Keep
bless.
safe.
Take it easy, Dave.
Someone I hate and I wanna get up right now. You give me your hand now, watch the clouds dissipate. I can't even sleep or dream or breathe when you come near.
So I had some really good feedback on the question of a kind of revisionist history of some of the bands we worked with on the ranch over the years. Some that we feel maybe didn't get the reception they warranted, or that they didn't maximise their potential for whatever reason. I've had a few suggestions sent in. Thanks for that. If you've got any more suggestions of bands you want to kind of take another look at or revisit, do get in touch. This week I'm going to go back in time 6 years to a record that I'm not sure it's a record that maybe deserved to be a big record, but I think it's of the era of the time. They're a band that deserved a bit more attention considering the quality of the material they were making and how it was kind of in the kind of underground consciousness at the time. They're a band from Devon called Donny Brasco. I'm going to play one of the tracks from their record that we produced, and I've just got really fond memories of making this record, of it just being a really fun session. It was only a week long. We were doing a full length, so it was a streamlined recording process. Listening back to the session files, it was really fun to kind of look that it was basically drums, not done to a click, all done live, natural, with some guide guitar, and then it's basically the bass guitar up the middle, and then guitar left and guitar right. Very different guitar parts, they kind of interweave in a really interesting way. There's a few overdubs, but it's really minimal. And then the vocals, which will sort of live long in my memory because we did them for a full album in about 4 hours. The vocals were done, if I remember, on a really hot day in the vocal booth with an SM7 and a bottle of whiskey. And by the end, Chris, the vocalist, was absolutely pissed. I seem to have memories of him wearing a Man United top when he went in, carrying a bottle of whiskey and then coming out with no top on, staggering around the place. But the performance is just brilliant throughout the record. It has this incredible primal energy that I love listening to. And for me, that, like I say, I'm not saying they deserve to be a huge band or anything like that, but I just think it was a great record in a time when that kind of music was very much in the consciousness. So I've recently been in touch with the band, and they let me know that they're actually, after all this time, getting the tracks up on Spotify. So if you have a search for Donny Brasco, you should be able to find this LP with a bit of luck. If not, get yourself over to Bandcamp, Donny Brasco, Lost Youth. It is well worth the 30 minutes of your time it would take to listen to the whole thing. Anyway, here's a track. It's called Western Dream. It's the second track on the record, and yeah, check it out.